forgiveness. By the way, it's possible it can manifest as absolute passionate longing for the unattainable guy or girl. Pisces is surrender and dissolution versus Virgo's brittle, critical boundaries. Chiron in Pisces can include wounds that we live with unseen and that drive us and that we need to develop perception of and then healing. Pisces Chiron can manifest as merger codependency versus jointly agreed self-assertion in our living styles. And at its very summit, Chiron, the wounded centaur in Pisces, is compassion. So the Chiron opposition Virgo energy is the energy of a wound to showing love and the healing of that now. Venus in Virgo is the need to heal the wound of being overcritical. So because Ketu is centrally involved in this centrally important energy matrix, and Ketu is all about past life scripts, past lives and ancestral issues, we must use this full moon to be on the lookout for our past life scripts, our ancestral scripts. What happened in past lives to create problems in this life that need to come to healing? Certainly doing past life regressions can be so healing and illuminating. Indeed, cross-referring them, for example, something I do to the Vedic Varga charts, the divisional charts of Vedic astrology, that are so supreme in declaring a particular area of our life, each one of them. And, it can be found that past lives that are described to us in past life regression readings actually fit in so well with analysis, for example, of not just our birth chart, not just our D9 Navamsha chart, but also our D2 Hora chart, HORA chart, which describes our ancestral issues, our gender issues, our wealth and value issues, for example. So, get a reading from me if you feel I could help you at this point in time, or indeed give you a karma and life script reading, or an ordinary birth reading, or prediction year ahead, or relationship reading. But now I want to go on to look in detail at the second major aspect of this full moon that needs to be deeply understood, and that is Saturn opposition Lilith. Indeed, Saturn opposition Lilith square the nodal axis. So Saturn is at 6 Aquarius. He just turned direct on November the 4th. Before that, as with every Saturn retrograde, Saturn has been impelling us to complete our unfinished business and our duties and grow in our handling of our karmas. But now Saturn direct is demanding that we ethically and in a disciplined way move forward with the karmically right task focus for us now, along the karmically needed right road for that now. And the point is that if we fulfill Saturn's demands, we will experience golden reaping. Saturn in this full moon is Jagrat, super strong in Aquarius, the sign he rules, along with Capricorn. Lilith is opposite at 11 Leo. And as I said, this Saturn opposite Lilith is square the full moon, which is Sun at 10 Scorpio opposite Moon at 10 Taurus. Lilith in Leo is all about our imperious energies, including those types of energies that were stuffed down into our unconscious, that weren't allowed us, perhaps including weren't allowed us by ourselves, not just by others, because we felt they were wrong in some way or wrongly expressed by us. So they got stuffed down into our unconscious and into our shadow side because they weren't allowed, rather than being expressed and the way they expressed being healed and made spiritual. You see, Lilith will erupt, well indeed Lilith in Leo will erupt if blocked, if not allowed to express its qualities. And remember, what I've tried to describe to you is so much more tense because repressive Saturn is opposition Lilith. And of course the opposition is T-square our full moon. This is the time to work with it. You see, Saturn is noted for potential for repression. Saturn's karmic imperatives include that you limit yourself where that is karmically correct to do. Negatively, Saturn can deny you your creativity until and if you can heal that aspect. For example, Saturn conjunct Venus, Saturn opposite Venus. Saturn can demand that you change the way you express your nature. So how will rebellious Lilith accept an opposition from Saturn? You see, Lilith indeed includes our wild side. And we do need to have seen and contacted our wild side if we are to be happily the fullness of us. How will Lilith respond to the imperious, pleasure-demanding moon in Taurus, Rohini Nakshatra? How will Saturn cope with these oppositions, because Saturn demands discipline, hard work, and that we adopt the karmically needed task forward and responsibility now. You see, if we feel we're failing at our Saturn-demanded karmic and life purpose tasks, we'll feel depression, we'll feel failure. Or we can turn to simmering frustration and rage. We'll want to break from the Saturn-represented tradition and demand. So this full moon is difficult, but it's an ideal way of seeing the oppositional demands on us that we have to sort out if we're to happily, strongly and powerfully become us and heal any relationship problems we have. Okay, I want to end with a final point about Mercury. Mercury is at naught Vedic Sagittarius in the full moon. And so, of course, Mercury is in the Scorpio Sagittarius Gandanta zone, where Gandanta zones, as I've said, are zones of immateriality and complete lack of supportiveness from the material world and worldly things. But Gandanta zones can have the possibility that if we develop our perceptions, we can open our perceptions to what is beyond this material world. In other words, well, Hinduism uses the framework of the God realm. So beyond this world is Lord Shiva dancing things into existence, into destruction and into existence, or Lord Vishnu lying back in ecstasy, dreaming a universe into being, and when that universe gets further from the God and thus impure, absorbing the universe and manifesting another universe in his dream. Or this world can be seen as Mahamaya, the great illusion, where we dance to the music of Lord Krishna's flute. Yes, this world is an illusion in spiritual insight terms often, but it's a super important place for us to be, because it's here we incarnate to burn our negative karmas from past life and to build upon the positive karmas we developed from past life, and to progress in our fate and destiny direction, which our higher self chose just before we incarnated, perhaps centrally described by the position of Rahu, the North Node in our chart. But as a twist to the tale, not only is Mercury in the Gandanta, Mercury is also heading towards galactic centre. Galactic centre is the emission point of such high energies. It runs from approximately 3 degrees 20 to 4 degrees Sagittarius. Now we have to understand and be prepared for that Mercury goes into such volatility and instability when he's in the Gandanta zones. There can be all sorts of Mercury retrograde type issues. There can also be storms, upheavals. But on the more spiritual level, please be open to the breakthrough perceptions that can come through to us at the time of a Gandanta planet experience. And not only is Mercury in the Gandanta zone, which is the transition from Scorpio to Sagittarius, he's just entered Mula Nakshatra, the first nakshatra of Sagittarius, which is ruled by Ketu, the south node of the moon, with all of Ketu's cutting immateriality energies. Mula is ruled by Niriti, the goddess of death and destruction. And that's what Mercury-type energies and events can open us to and alert us to. What needs death and destruction in your life now, particularly in your ways of thinking or communicating, in your Mercury issues? And as a special add-on, I'd add that Mercury moves into an aspect from Jupiter in Aries while he's in Sagittarius. And the point is, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And with Ketu ruling Mula Nakshatra, where Mercury is, wow, what a deep spiritual potential infusing Mercury at this time, the Jupiter-Ketu energy combination. Jupiter is in fact exact trine Mercury on December the 8th. And don't forget to see what happens with you when Mercury goes through galactic centre. And this happens 3 times because Mercury, which is entering Sagittarius now, actually turns retrograde at 14 Sagittarius on the 11th of December. And Mercury indeed returns to Scorpio, yes, going through the Gandanta for a second time. Mercury has a 10-day stay in Scorpio, but then he returns to Sagittarius on the 7th of January, yes, going through the Gandanta for the 3rd time. Okay, Mercury enters Capricorn on the 1st of February. By the way, do note that Mercury, when it's going through Scorpio, rules the last nakshatra of Scorpio, which is Jyesta nakshatra. Jyesta runs from 16 degrees 40 to 30 degrees Scorpio. Now be aware that the lower manifestation of this will be the sting in the tail of the scorpion in your life. But the higher potential of this Mercury and then Sun and Mars transit through Jyesta in Scorpio are, of course, experiences and realizations that are death and rebirth. They are the development of serpent wisdom, of Naga energy. So, as I always say, it can be so helpful, first of all, to see my video and read my blog about an upcoming new or full moon, but then make space immediately before, on the day of, and following the lunation to sort of check out how those issues resonate with you. Connect to them more fully. I love doing vision work, simply seeing myself walking forward the road created by the energies of the lunation, or seeing myself standing in the energies of the lunation, seeing which of those energies I so need to let into my body, into my consciousness. So I hope this video and its associated blog will be of information and help. To get a reading from me, go to my Star Wheel Astrology buy page. I've got a worldwide dating site for those on a spiritual pathway who are seeking love. Go to Love Star Dating. It's supported by a panel of astrologers and healers. And indeed, I created it as a response to Ketu entering Libra, the sign it's just left, to assist the highest meaning of the Ketu transit through Libra, which is, of course, a call to each of humanity to raise their connection to relationship issues and love. Do subscribe to my Star Wheel Astrology blog, and do see my wife Maggie Pashley's website, the many, many, many wonderful healings offered by Maggie worldwide online. We've got a Facebook page called Star Wheel Astrology. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it really revolutionizes the way you'll connect to the gifts of this huge fraught energy full moon, with its vast Grand Cross chart aspect shape dominating its chart. Thank you.